Hi, it's Cathy with City Farmhouse Studio. Today I want to show you how easy it is to set up this LK150 knitting machine. I had mine set up here for quite a while and I took it all down because I wanted to clean them around, get all the dust and everything that collects underneath it, get everything cleaned up. So I went ahead and boxed it so I can show you just how easy it is to set it up. Another thing is this is very lightweight. This whole box itself, I weighed it, it's 12.2 pounds. So very easy to move around. I think the bed itself, I read online, is around 10 pounds. I saw it as 4.5 kilograms. And for a metal bed, the machine is 35 pounds or around 16 kilograms. So that is a very big difference on weight, maneuverability. So if you're moving it back and forth between working on it on your kitchen table or to an event or stitching group, LK150 is very easy to tote around where your standard metal beds, any of the metal beds are going to be very much more cumbersome. So let's show you how simple, how quick it is to open. So this top box of mine just slides out. So there we go. Once you have it open, you can start pulling everything out and to start setting it up. Before we start talking about that, show you my setup. I do have a Calyx from IKEA bookshelf. When my knitting machine here at the foot of the bed, kind of out of the way in the spare room so that it can stay out and I'm more likely to use it. Now, for knitting machines, you have to be sure that your clamps that attach your knitting machine to your table, your stand, your bookshelf, whatever you're using, can go wide enough when all the way out done to be able to slip on. These ones did not fit onto the bookshelf, so I've gone ahead and clamped. It's an old cabinet door that we've had, that we inherited actually, and I've C-clamped it onto it to hold it against the table, and then I clamped the knitting machine onto this. So you go ahead and pull out your two clamps, and then we'll pull some of the big heavy stuff. You'll receive 3 cast-on combs. So these you hang on as you begin knitting. You can move them up, and they help the knit stitches form and come off the needles. So it's the weight that holds them down. You also receive 2 claw weights. These you go onto the side of the stitches on the side of your knit work to help those stay knitting off. I'm not going to remove the VHS player, VHS video, but I will pull out. You receive 2 push combs. These you can select different needles. There's different amounts that you can select. Along with 3 transfer tools, so you can pull stitches out and transfer them over. One latch hook. It is really neat because it has 2 different sizes of hooks, a large and a small, so it works depending on the yarn you're using. And then it does include ravel cord, which is very great. So if you haven't been using ravel cord, go find some. I have some out already, so I'm going to leave this in, along with replacement needles, and then also some old oil. This is old machine, so I'm going to leave that in here. So I have other stuff. Everything else we want to take out. So I will start with a metal pole. This goes as part of your mast that has your yarn coming up, along with this crazy contraption. We'll talk about that more later. The mast base. Another contraption to help guide the yarn, and then the row counter. So that is all I'm going to take out from here. I'll remove the styrofoam and pull out your knitting machine. All right, so now we're ready to start attaching everything. So one of the first things you want to do is on the bottom there are little push buttons. You push that and it slides these end pieces out. And that just gives you extra room for your carriage as it slides. It's easier to be able to look underneath and push those buttons than grasp at nothing if you can even reach them. So the next thing we want to do is mount it to the table. But before I mount it, I want to show you two other things on the back side that we'll be using later on. So this little tab that sticks out, this is where we're going to put the row counter. And then this is where we're going to attach the mast. It's a little pocket that has a hole. These on each end are what you can attach the tabs to hold your yarn, but I've never used those, so I leave them off. If somebody has used them and can talk me into it, drop a comment below and talk me into it. So next, I set my machine up to the edge of the table, your stand, however, so that your metal edge of where the clasps will go is at the edge. And then take your metal clasp, just slides in, and then you turn it to tighten. And you want it tightened firmly because this is what keeps the knitting machine in place. So as you're knitting, and sometimes it can get a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but you need a little more muscle behind it to pass over depending on your gauge. And this will keep the machine from sliding around as you do that. So now let's talk about the mast. So this little, I don't know what it can shape. So this little guy, that hole in the back side, it just pops in and snaps. And then we take our mast pole and it slides into it. And then we want to take the triangular bit and it slides on. Now this guy, the yarn will come up through those little loops and it keeps it separate from tangling. But then there's also little hooks, so as you have your yarn fed, you can hook it on there and it will keep it in place. For this crazy looking thing, the wires need to come up and around and it snaps. And on the bottom, there's a round oval in the forming and that slides right on top. And then the next thing is our row counter. This on the tab that sticks out, this just kind of sets right inside of that. And then the only other thing is lift the handle and you're ready to knit. If your carriage did come off, there is this tab in the back. You pull that towards you and just lift from the back and it comes forward. So on the other underside, see the wheels that hold the yarn in place as you're knitting. And then based on all of these levers will define which path the needles will go, and based on where they go, it'll activate the hooks and feed the yarn. So it's very neat to watch if you can see it. But to hook it back on, kind of at an angle to where the brushes are at the bottom of your machine where it loops in, push it to there, go down, and then just pull that lever towards you until you hear that snap, and there you are. So now that your machine is all set up, I'll show you how to thread your yarn mast and get ready to knit. So for yarn, you will either want it wound in a cinder pool or you'll want to use cone yarn. And that's so that it evenly comes out and does not get caught up or rolling around, and just an easy tension that is consistent throughout the skein or your project. So to take it, you just take the end. This is going to my center. And we'll want to go through the center portion of the metal. There is a way you go in, to the back, to the right, and then under the post to go through it. Sometimes it's easier just threading it, especially taking it undone. I can never get which way to go. Then you go up to where the tension is. And there's a little peg in the back, so you want your yarn to be between the metal that goes to this portion and the white peg so that it keeps it in. And then you want to go through this eyelet towards you. So you lay it on top, bring it to the center, and wrap it behind the metal post coming down. So it's fed through that eyelet. And then the metal portion on that side that your yarn is at, there's a little clip at the end. So it just slides right through. And you can wrap it around that tab to hold it in place if you're not ready to use it. If you are, it comes down, and in your carriage, you can see a number 1 and a number 2. So the 1 is on the left side of the black plastic that sticks out. If you're using a second color of yarn, it goes behind it. So if this is my first, I want to come towards this side of the carriage and just slide it around that corner. And then I want to be sure it kind of flips back around into that center portion in the middle of the carriage. There's one little tab inside that it has to kind of pop around. So just make sure it's in there and you're ready to go. You're ready to start knitting. So with that, I hope you have seen how easy it is to set up your LK150, how simple it is to thread your yarn and really get set up to where you can start knitting. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out on any other patterns or more tutorials on how to use your knitting machine. Thanks again. Bye.